team like Kyrie and KD, or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s, but no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawg, and we back to it. You know how we do it. The curious case of Larry Bird and the 81-82 Boston Celtics. This is gonna be a good one, man. But before we get into it, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. You right there that's watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit that button, man. It helps me out a lot, more than you ever would think. But just most importantly, let's just enjoy this video, man. I'm actually kind of interested why this video is about this team, because they didn't win the finals. You know, I always got to relate it back to winning time, because that's how I always remember who won what. And the Lakers in season 1, it was 79-80. The Lakers won. And then 80-81, the Celtics won. And 81-82 was the Rockets. Like, somebody write in the comments real quick, who won the finals in 81-82? It wasn't the Celtics. So let's just enjoy this one, man. Let's see what they got to talk about with Larry Bird. Shout out to the Bird gang. I know y'all watching, man. So let's get into it. We got the curious case of Larry Bird and the 1981-82 Celtics. Let's get it. Shout out to the basketball
Imagine
universe.
telling the superstar of your team that's in the middle of his...
Hold on. I'm going to take these subtitles off. I don't want no subtitles on. That's just too much on the screen. But what the Lakers got to do with anything? Shout out to Kobe, though. I think Tiny Archibald was on this team, too.
Team that's in the middle of his prime that he needs to come off the bench. Yeah, that never goes well. In most cases, those are conversations that coaches have with aging superstars that haven't come to the realization that they're not the same player anymore. It's extremely rare that a team feels the need to bench their best player, but it has happened to one of the legends of the game. Larry Bird was asked during the 1981-82 season to come off the bench for an extended period of time after leading his team to the title the previous year and finishing second in MVP voting.
What? Hold on, I never knew this, y'all. Bird gang, y'all ain't never told me this. I mean, I know they're going to explain it a little bit more on why they decided to do this, but they had Larry Bird come off the bench in his, what, 3rd season in the league? After winning a championship? No, I think the coach need to be fired. Red Auerbach, who's the coach? I don't know, man. They might have to get fired after this one.
What was the reasoning behind this curious move? Let's start from the beginning. It all started when Bird got elbowed in the face and suffered a fractured cheekbone in a matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, injured, okay. Dang.
Larry had to leave the game and would be out for the next 5 games. To make matters worse, Tiny Archibald was also out with a shoulder injury, and he missed a total of 11 games that coincided with Bird's injury. Having to play without 2 of your best players is usually a recipe for disaster. However, the Celtics did not lose a single game from that 5-game span. When Bird returned, head coach Bill Fitch decided not to alter the starting lineup. They were in the middle of an 8-game winning streak, and he wanted to avoid messing up the team's momentum. So for the rest of the season, Larry Bird was asked to come off the bench. How is he?
I don't know, man. I get it. This is kind of like the whole, who else? They do this a lot in football where the quarterback, you know, get injured, and then the backup quarterback comes in and wins a bunch of games in a row, and you know the first string quarterback end up getting healthy and they don't start. Like, I get it in football a little bit, but they tripping. I don't care if the Celtics was on a 50-game winning streak. When Larry Bird is healthy, he's getting back in that starting lineup. And I don't know though. I'm kind of going both ways with this, because I feel like Larry Bird is such a great teammate and such a great team player that it wouldn't affect him at all. Like, for instance, Allen Iverson. You know, when he was asked to come off the bench, it messed up everything. Carmelo Anthony, too. He was feeling some type of way, too, when he had to come off the bench. Westbrook is somebody that I like. I like a lot. He plays for the Lakers right now, and he's doing that. He's coming off the bench, and I feel like he's not letting that come off the bench, you know, really mess with his morale, mess with his statistics. So he's still playing good. So I think it'll probably be the same way with Larry Bird. I think he's just such a great teammate that You know, he's not gonna let coming off the bench affect him. But there's no way. I don't care who's on the court. Larry Bird has never come off the bench if you're on my team.
He gonna respond to that? Was he gonna pout? Was he gonna throw his coach under the bus? Was he gonna fake an injury because he's not used to coming off the bench?
Bird ain't doing that.
He didn't do any of that. He was ready to do whatever his coach asked of him. This is what he said after the end of the regular season, according to the New York Times. Quote, "It's the same thing for me as starting, except I come into the game a little later. I like to think I get people's their money's worth when they come to a game. Even if I don't start, that doesn't mean I shouldn't play as hard as if I did. Then I'd be treating the fans and my teammates and myself."
I love it. I love it. It's not about who starts. It's about who finishes, man. You can start the game all you want, but if you're not doing shit while starting, who cares? Who cares if Larry Bird is coming off the bench but still hitting game winners and still, you know, doing his thing? So that's a valuable lesson. I always try to give my teaching points in all my videos, and that's by far the most important teaching point in this video is it's not a matter of who starts. It's about who finishes.
Quote, "There was no difference in his play. During that 22-game stretch, he averaged a combined 21.3 points per game on 51.5% shooting, 10.3 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game in 33 minutes per game. Prior to the injury, he was averaging 23.5 points per game on 49.9% shooting, 11.1 rebounds per game, and 6.1 assists per game in 39 minutes per game. He had the power to make this a much bigger deal.
Leave Larry Bird open.
That's not who Larry Legend is. He took the opportunity to become the greatest six-man the league has ever seen, and the Celtics ended up winning 18 games in a row.
Damn.
That is tied for the 7th longest winning streak in history. During that streak, Boston outscored its opponents by an average of 11.6 points per game. There aren't many teams in history that could have pulled off such a dominating stretch of games under those circumstances. Teams nowadays are too dependent on their star player, which a lot of times results in teams standing around, waiting for the star teammate to go one-on-one. That reflects on their insanely high usage rate.
True.
According to BasketballReference.com, 43 of the top 50 players with the highest usage rate for a single season came from players from the year 2000 and onward. 14 of those seasons had come from the past 6 years. It explains why we're seeing so many incredible numbers, but that usually doesn't equivalent to much playoff success.
That's true.
The teams that share the ball and the responsibilities usually are the most successful. Just look at what we see from the Spurs and Warriors in the last decade. To give an idea of how evenly the Celtics players contributed to the offense, Larry Bird had a usage rate of 25.2% that season. That would have been the 44th highest usage rate for the 2020/21 season, and it would have been just below the usage rate of Lou Williams, who was coming off the bench for that whole season. How crazy is that? But what do you know?
How do you calculate usage rate, though? Somebody help me out and write in the comments how do they calculate that? It's like they just calculate the seconds that he holds the ball or something. Like, let me know about that.
The Celtics didn't need Larry Bird to have the ball at all times for them to be successful. In fact, it was Robert Parrish who had the highest usage rate for that team.
That's crazy that Big had the highest usage rate.
Everything around Larry Bird, each player fulfilled their role that contributed to the betterment of the team. But that's also part of Larry
Bird getting up.
He doesn't need the ball at all times to be effective.
How old was Larry Bird right here, y'all? This is like his 3rd, 4th year in the league. Somebody write how old he was. I done seen like 4 dunks in here that I've never seen before. So I feel like he's at the top of his athleticism right here. This is probably before all the back injuries and all that.
He was a player that had a unique understanding of how to control every aspect of the game and how to uplift his teammates' level of play. The Celtics weren't going to beat you with one player, but as a collective group. When you have Tiny Archibald, Parrish, Cedric Maxwell, and Kevin McHale, who was coming off the bench, there's no need to dominate the ball. And Bird understood that. That's why they were easily the best team in the league. But they fell short of making the finals. So why make such a big deal of this team? Well, the main reason they got defeated by the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals was due to a dislocated left shoulder that Tiny Archibald suffered within the first minute of Game 3. So that meant that Gerald Henderson was going to run the point for the rest of the series. Henderson was indeed much better on defense, but he was a big drop-off as a playmaker. We should give credit to Maurice Cheeks, who had a lot to do with shutting down Henderson on the offensive end. He averaged 10.6 points per game on 41% shooting, compared to the 50% shooting that he had during the regular season. The Celtics couldn't adjust to the loss of Archibald until it was too late, when they were down 3-1 in the series. They were able to force a Game 7, but the Sixers weren't going to allow themselves to lose a 3-1 series lead to the Celtics 2 years in a row. I believe it's fair to ask if the better team won that series. If Tiny Archibald was healthy, could the Sixers still beat the Celtics and advance to the finals?
We will never know.
It begs the question since the Celtics beat the Sixers 4 out of 6 times in the regular season. We also have to note that Tiny was an all-star that year, so the Celtics didn't just lose a key role player. He was one of the stars in the league. So the unfortunate timing of that injury was a big reason why the Celtics fell short in the playoffs. If it wasn't for that, maybe we would have seen Larry Bird and Magic Johnson playing the finals a lot sooner than we did. But enough about the hypotheticals. I believe this is one of the most underrated teams ever, and is Larry Bird's most underrated season. It takes a truly special player to embrace a role that seems to be a demotion, and to continue to thrive as the best player in the world. A lot of players say they'll do whatever it takes to win, just as long as it fits their narrative. Larry Bird was truly willing to do whatever it took to help his team. This once again proves that the numbers don't tell half the story of Bird's greatness.
Dunk something, Bird.
There was simply no one like him.
Hey, boy, getting up, man. He's getting up. Okay, great video. What's that? The official all-time ranking of the 1980 Los Angeles Lakers. Ooh, I have to react to that. I have to. That's literally season 1 of Winning Time right there. But I appreciate y'all for watching this one with me. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already. Make sure y'all like this video if y'all like this video. And go ahead and write something in the comments. Let me know how y'all feel about that video. I think it was really good. I think that kind of showed me a little bit of how good Tiny Archibald was. And for some of y'all who don't know, I played Tiny Archibald. That was the person that I played in Winning Time of season 1. I was a Celtic. I played Norm Nixon in season 2, but I was Tiny in season 1. So I have a lot of respect for Tiny, and I love to see him doing good. So that video kind of showed me that he was really good. And if he wouldn't have got hurt, this Celtics team probably could have went further. It probably could have went further, but who knows, man. It's just kind of cool to see that Larry Bird came off the bench for those few games or however many games he did, and it didn't drop off. Again, I was like, one of those important things of this video too is, it ain't about who starts. It's about who finishes, man. That's a lot of times kids out there, if you're not starting, you want to pout or, you think the coaches are out to get you. Like, no. Coaches want to win. At the end of the day, it might be some coaches out there that might just be wanting to just do stuff to show lessons, but 90% of the time, coaches are going to do whatever they feel is necessary to win. So a lot of times it's not personal, man. And they was on an 8-game winning streak. So you don't want to mess up that starting lineup. I get it. But at the same time, they didn't win the championship. So I'm pretty sure that next season Larry Bird was back in that starting lineup. But I appreciate y'all like always. We out.